Like and subscribe on the way in the door, people. Today I want to talk about Steph Curry, I guess on the Gilbert Arenas podcast. And Gilbert Arenas asked him, was he the best point guard ever? To which Curry replied, yes. Now I don't really take offense to that because, number one, Curry seems humble enough. It seemed like a, attempt to be confident, so to speak. However, this and they were talking about, it's the conversation between him and Magic. And he said, it's between him and Magic. And of course, Gilbert Arenas has some of the most ridiculous takes on the internet. I have come to believe Gilbert Arenas is simply a contrarian. He's someone who, if you say Michael Jordan's terrible, then he's going to tell you why Michael Jordan's great. And if you say Michael Jordan's the GOAT, he's going to tell you why he's not. he just seems like he likes to disagree a lot. But anyway, back to this whole Magic and Curry. See, I feel like this is another side effect of positionless basketball and just making everything be these fluid kind of roles. Is that, first of all, the point guard position no longer means what it used to mean. For the most part, the point guard was the facilitator of the offense. Except in a few select cases, like the Bulls being facilitated by Scottie Pippen being one of them. But for the most part, the point guard was truly the facilitator of the offense. So in today's league, when everyone is everything, when point guards are so ball dominant, it's like, how can you actually even make a fair comparison between today's point guard and how point guards used to be? Point guards from Magic days, point guards from the 90s with Michael Jordan, and even point guards from the early 2000s. How can you make a true comparison about that? My first thing is, to me, it's almost like they need to, from 2010 on, from the 2010s on, almost needs to be like a new set of record books, and not comparing anybody before then, because the game has become so different. Again, it's like, when they're praising these players for so-called being so much more skilled, it's like, again, it's not the same game. Everything is so much easier now. Like what are we comparing here? But anyway, it's a couple of things I want to point out about Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson had 9 seasons averaging over 10 assists. 9 seasons averaging over 10 assists, and that's including in Magic Johnson's highest scoring season, which he averaged about 24 points a game. He also averaged 12 assists that same season and 2 steals. That was the 86-87 season. So now when you're comparing that to Steph Curry, whose highest assist season, he averaged about 8.5 assists, and in his highest point season, where he averaged about 32, he only averaged 6 assists. Now, 6 assists is about what Michael Jordan averaged as a shooting guard. So again, Steph Curry's so-called point guard role should not be compared to Magic's. And if we're going to talk about who is the greatest point guard, because at this point, since the beginning of the NBA up until, let's say, like I said, the 2010s is kind of when it changed, the point guard role has been fairly consistent. So since it has changed and we're going into an era where the role of the point guard has been what it's been for the least amount of time as far as basketball history is concerned, to me, you have to say the best point guard is still Magic Johnson. Now, you can say Steph Curry is one of the greatest players that there has ever been in the NBA, and I 100% agree with that. But to say he's the best point guard, how can you say that when the roles are not what they used to be? How can you say that when the point guard doesn't function like point guards used to function? So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. To me, I still think Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard that there has ever been. And for me, if you're just talking about the role of a point guard and how a point guard functions, I don't see is anybody being really close to Magic. Stockton is another great point guard. And I'm sure with some great point guards, before I started watching basketball again, I never discredit the older players, and I never discredit people who are older than me who have seen these older players, because, I'm a firm believer in the eye test. I'm a firm believer in that unless you were there to see it, you can't fully understand. But just in terms of what I witnessed, to me, Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard that there has been. But even more than that, I don't think you can put Steph Curry in that conversation, like I said, because the role that he plays as a point guard has existed for the least amount of time in the NBA. Like, this is new stuff. Like I said, it's coming from like the 2010s on, where we've seen just a major shift in everything. So, until another 40 years or so has passed by with these roles as they are now, to me, you can't fairly compare the roles to what they used to be. Anyway, so yeah, that's my take. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Steph Curry is the best point guard there has ever been? Or do you think that's even a fair comparison to make it all? Can you compare today's point guards with how the point guard position used to be played and the players who played it? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You all have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. All right.